Well, good afternoon, guys. It is January 31st. We are very far away from it being spring and having plants actually growing again, but I got to make a video either way. I got to keep up on things, so let's see if we can find anything at all growing, or even not growing today. Even though it's the middle of winter right now, some plants always seem to get ahead on growing at this time, or at least grow a little bit in a sort of warm periods, which you're starting to have right now. The next few days will have lows in the mid 40s and highs almost up to 60. Not uncommon in winter here because it doesn't only lasts until maybe about Wednesday before temperatures go down again. Real spring doesn't actually come to the Salt Lake Valley, it seems, until the beginning or to middle of March time of year. Doesn't really say much. I mean, obviously the entire northern hemisphere starts to warm up at that period of time, but that's when actual spring conditions seem to arise to the Salt Lake Valley typically. But for right now, you might be able to find a few plants growing. Among the plants that are just skeletons right now, as I like to call them, are these guys up ahead. Our tall brown ones are, I believe, Rumex crispus, commonly known curly dock. It is unfortunately an invasive plant, not native at all. There are some native Rumexes to Utah, but they're far less common than the invasive ones, especially in areas near civilization. Which you can see is just right around the corner there. Now, Rumex is a genus in the family Polygonaceae, which is known for having nodes and joints on the stems. Of course, this can be found in many species throughout the plant kingdom, but it's very consistent in this family. You can see a good example right there. There are some woody species in this genus that once they get tall enough, or not genus, in the family, and once they get big enough, they start to disappear into the wood texture, sort of like how cacti, like the tree cacti, when they start to grow, for paddles or columnar shape, just disappears and their trunk looks like a regular old tree, while their branches look different. But these are simply herbaceous perennials, I believe. Like we can see some of their leaves already somehow surviving. So I can rip one and see. No, they're not. Those are pretty damaged, I think. Very floppy and wet. That's been growing earlier. They got a head start and then got blasted by the frost. Maybe some more plants will be a little bit more lucky. Let's carry on. Now, perhaps the two most common perennial shrubs you can find in the Great Basin and other deserts of the Intermountain West are two members of the family Asteraceae. This one, Ericameria nauseosa. See, it has very asteraceous flower heads. This is very visibly asteraceous, even in its skeletal dead winter phase. It's distinguished by having branches that are covered in a very dense, or new shoots at least I should say, that are covered in a very dense cobwebby network of hairs that are so fine and matted together that it makes the branches appear like they're straight white, like it's their bark that's white. What you're actually looking at is the hairs and Artemisia tridentata, commonly known as a big sagebrush. I almost will say they're such common plants, there's really not much interesting to talk about. You can also see very asteraceous spent inflorescences from last year growing out of the branches. See them emerge like from the lower sides, like not quite from the tips of the branches, but right around there. Those could incur new growth later, I'm not sure. We'll see, maybe it'll just fall off. I don't exactly know what happens to them after when the next growing season starts. I mean, I'm stuttering a bit. I'm trying to get back in the game for when it's really time to make videos again. I've not been able to make any videos in December. I would have loved to try, but I had a really bad case of laryngitis throughout the entire month. It was awful, and my voice just sounded pretty ragged, way too ragged to make any videos, unfortunately. But you guys don't really care about that or my general health. You just care about the actual product, so I'll just keep walking. All right, and here we have what is pretty obviously a non-native species of rose. Now you can tell the non-native roses from the native ones, and that they have much larger spines, and their hips are, like the hips of the native roses tend to be very squat, like much wider than they are long. And these ones of the non-natives tend to be kind of more spherical or even elongate. The hips truly do not lie. And so I've actually got some leaves that are growing. Unlike the other plant I showed you with dock, they don't feel like mush to me. Hold on a second. I'm trouble getting in focus. But yeah, they feel like they're actually alive, and which is interesting. The ones are going to stay that way till it's actual springtime, or if I have to make new buds at proper spring, we'll see. There's really, of course, not a lot I can show you this time around. That brown thing right there is part of a Salsify skeleton, a Tragopon, parviflora, something like that. I can't remember Pauciflora. I gotta look up the specific name. There's probably, I think, native herbaceous Artemisia growing all over the ground here. There's a good specimen showing its flowers. Or actually, I take it back. That might actually just be the ragweed, the ambrosia species. Yeah, I think that might be it. This might be the native Artemisia, herbaceous Artemisia, I meant to say. Whoops. They do look very similar to each other, though one is a lot more pale in this dead winter season, while one is much more bluish-green looking. If this video ever sees the light of day, I swear, I must really be out of ideas. Or out of content. Okay, now here's something else interesting. This plant here, this is a, I believe Linaria dalmatica. It could also be Linaria, I can't remember the other one. It's the common toadflax as opposed to the Dalmatian toadflax. To have a Dalmatian toadflax, ironically, is more common in Salt Lake City, but it doesn't matter because both are introduced. But you can see here, it's starting to grow again, and these leaves also don't feel very, you know, like mushy, like they've been frozen and destroyed by the frost. So maybe it's already getting a head start as well. Hard to say sometimes. Oh, here's one that's much larger. Let's check it out. A whole foot long stem, it seems. Actually, yeah, it might be a bit frost damaged now I've taken a closer look at it. Oh well. Let's get to the end of this trail. I don't think it goes anywhere particular. I'm just walking on this road along the freeway and whatever the road that used to access the Mount Olympus trailhead. Some more roses. These are big fluffy galls they have. It's like moss, even though it's just a weird overgrowth of tissue caused by a wasp infecting it, or maybe a bacteria. I think it's a wasp that does it though. Try to check if this Dalmatian toadflax has got any weevils, because it's like they might, because it's got some holes drilled into the fruit. Because this plant's such an invasive one, there are efforts to control it, and there's actually a successful biocontrol developed for it. It's a species of weevil that just drills into the stem to, you know, feed and reproduce and stuff. And yeah, it just totally wrecks them. It sets their growth back. It doesn't normally totally kill the plants, but it reduces how many seed they can produce in a year and how successfully they can reproduce, which ultimately cuts the numbers back. It's a really great innovation. Oh, here we go. Never crappy invasive. This is a Verbascum thapsus, or thapsus, known as great mullein. A lot of herbalists like this plant, and I won't judge you for liking it. It allegedly has some great herbal properties, like you can smoke the leaves and it's good for your lungs, which sounds kind of backwards, or make a tea out of it that's good for your lungs, or just when you're sick in general. But it is highly invasive, unfortunately. But it seems to be the only one growing right here. I saw a different species of Verbascum earlier. So remember the family Scrophulariaceae, like the true Scrophulariaceae, which is interesting because that's now a family mostly confined to the southern hemisphere, while Verbascum is one of the few northern hemisphere genera, though it's entirely native to the old world, I'm pretty sure. There are no native Verbascums to the, new world. Certainly, at least it's native to Asia, or not Asia, I meant Europe. I'm sure it's native to both, but Europe is really where was first described, of course, because that's where the whole process of scientifically describing species started, with modern binomial nomenclature. What a great way to ruin a hike this is. Seeing all this Euphorbia myrsinites everywhere, the Myrtle Spurge, the Euphorbia, one of the worst invasive species around here. The worst part about it is everyone thinks it looks pretty and is actually native because they think it looks pretty. And does. It is a pretty looking plant, but it's only native to like southeastern Europe, Southwest Asia kind of region. God, I hate this thing so much. Oh, something nibbling it here? That's wild. How is something... Okay, that's clearly got to be either mowing or grazing damage, but or someone just yanked it out without pulling most of the plant off. That's so weird. It's clearly cut off there. I know goats can eat it, but I don't know other animals that are native will actually eat this plant. I've never seen it like this before. So maybe it's just cut back. I don't know. That's a little encouraging though. Probably a good idea to try and use goats to control the plant, because hey, you feed an animal doing it, and they apparently love the spurge. And of course it controls them, so it's like two birds with one stone. I think that's about it for this video. This road doesn't seem to go anywhere else interesting, so thanks for watching and see you next time.